Welcome, welcome one and all. Winter Wizard here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how I like to convert my Death Guard models to have rusted, corroded chains. Thank you very much for joining me, whoever you are, and welcome to this little video of mine where I'm going to be demonstrating how I go about adding all these chains to my various Death Guard models. So I've got a model here, well, part of a model anyway. This is the top of a Defiler. I'm anticipating getting it back on the field in 9th edition when that comes around very shortly, and also thinking about doing a little showcase video for the whole model as well. And I was thinking about what's called a Defiler Scourge here. I was always thought about maybe doing something a little bit extra to that. So I've been going around and adding some of these chains around each of the little tentacle army bits there. So while I was doing that, I thought I'd just do a little video, show you exactly how I do it. So for any of you who don't know, I have a Death Guard army called the Drowned Plague. They have a very deep-sea nautical colour scheme about them, play style to them as well, and something that I've added to a lot of my models is these chains. I just feel like they give a really cool underwater, deep-sea nautical theme to them. They all these heavy rusty chains remind me of sort of like wrecks at the bottom of the sea that have come to life and been pulled up to do Nurgle's bidding, but that's the idea anyway. So I've got a few models over here, give you some examples of what the finished result looks like. So I'll zoom in, we'll have a little look at those, and then we'll come back. I'll run you through the various tools and paints that we're going to need, and then we'll get started. So this is the top of the Defiler. You see it wrapped all around his body there, and a bit around the cannon, and on the gun to the side here, and the Scourge there. So we're taking the chain, we're wrapping it all around each one of these little grippy arms. So we've got a Mephitic Blight Hauler here. You see the chains all wrapped around, hanging down his front there, and around the back there. It's almost like the chains are holding the machine and the demon together. Some of them just hanging loose. It's quite nice. You can get really creative with it. I'll show you another thing. Little bloat drone here. This is one of my favourites. This is like the way the chain joins down here, wrapped around the front and hanging off there, and all wrapped around the plague spitter there. Again, almost like it's all holding the machine together. You can do as much or as little of this as you like. You could go really mad, or you could be a bit minimalist about it. And you've got a Plague Burst Crawler here. And, you know, this model's actually already got some chains moulded on, so it fits in quite nicely. There's a plague spitter there, and this one, it's almost like the guns are only held on by these chains. We've done loads on this one, just a bit on the sides, but maybe it would look quite cool if this thing was just absolutely covered in them. Big hulking mess. And there we go. And I think that sort of works nicely with the theme. The deep sea blues and greens that we've got here, these almost look like barnacles actually. I really like it. So we'll zoom back out and I'll show you how we do this. So those were some examples for you there, and I'm just going to run you through all the bits we're going to need. So we're going to need some chains, of course. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a minute. And a variety of paints. I've got a TYPHUS Corrosion here, technical paint. RYZA Rust, to get that rusty effect. Some Nihilakh Oxide if you want to do some verdigris. And a couple of other technicals here. Nurgle's Rot, Blood for the Blood God. You'll see why we might want to use that in just a bit. Other than that, some super glue, and a nasty old brush. It's cold and lonely here in Winter Wizard's Frozen Fortress. It's about mid-afternoon, but I got a nice cup of tea over there, and Dimmu, my Norwegian troll and co-host, joins me as always. So this is going to be nice. This is going to be nice and relaxed. Just going to run you through the process, and hopefully maybe it might inspire you to have a go at this yourself. Here we are then, so enough chit chat, we'll get started here. First thing we're going to need is, you're going to need to get hold of some chains, and very inexpensive, very cheap. You can just buy this in bunches like so from eBay or Etsy or anything like that. And let's have a little look. Just type in chain links or chains for modelling or anything like that really. But like I said, very inexpensive, and come in slightly different shapes and colours. But I've gone for a nice brassy look here, and quite like the shape and the size. Seems quite a good scale for the models. So this is the one we went for. So then you want to plan whereabouts you want the chains to go. So I've got just this length of I'm just going to call it an arm. I don't really know what to call it. This length of arm here. So I've broken off a bit of the chain. Should be round about long enough, I think. So plan your position, break off a bit of chain, and then we'll move on to the next step. So we've got our length of chain here, and then what we're going to do, we're going to prepare this and corrode it and paint it up before it even goes on the model. So we've got the TYPHUS corrosion here. I've actually got 2 pots of this, and one of them is perfectly empty, if I can remember which one it is, and I keep this specifically for doing these chains. So what we're going to do, you don't have to do this, you could just do it on a palette or something, but I like to keep a nice empty pot of paint for this very thing. So I'm going to take the empty pot of TYPHUS corrosion, just going to drop the chain inside there, and then get the fresh pot and nasty old brush. And what we're going to do is we're going to take just a couple of dollops of this TYPHUS corrosion, a couple of blots of that, stick it in the empty pot with the chain, scrub that around in there, give it a nice good coat, and just a tiny bit more. And wipe the excess off the brush, close it up, close up the fresh pot there, and give it a bit of a shake, get it all nice and covered in the TYPHUS corrosion. And on a palette or a bit of tissue or something, just gonna drop that out, spread it out a bit, and we're going to leave that to dry. There we are, so the TYPHUS corrosion is now nice and dry. It doesn't take too long to dry actually. You can always encourage it with a hairdryer as well. And the chain is left still perfectly flexible, a little bit stiffer, but that sits on there quite nicely, and gives the chain a nice effect indeed. So we're going to work on that some more. I did forget to mention that we're going to need some tissue and a dry brush, because for the next step we're going to be applying the rust to the chain. So we got the RYZA rust here. We'll open that up and get a bit on the brush, and you're going to just work that in to the bristles by scrubbing it off the brush. Gone a bit mad here, a little bit too much, you don't need loads. And you're just working it until that brush is perfectly dry, and it's just the sort of pigment left in the bristles, like so. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hold the chain down with my fingers and scrub some of this on the chain, just working that rust into it. So I'm just scrubbing that all along the chain, getting right in the gaps, twisting the chain around like so, and that's looking pretty good. Might just apply some more around this side. Just finishing up on the ends there. And this is the same technique I use for all of my rusted corroded metallics. There's a full-length video on in my painting series, Painting the Drowned Plague, where I go really in depth into the procedure for doing all the metallics on all the different parts of my Death Guard colour scheme throughout the models. So you can always go and check that out. Well, there we go. Yeah, that's pretty much, I'm pretty pleased with that. That's how it's done. And there we go, so we'll move on. Alright, so we're moving on here. We've got the model and we've got the chain all ready to go. So, like I said, we're going to copy what we've done with the rest of the these little tendrils here. We're going to wrap it round and that should do it. That'll be that complete. So we're going to need some super glue, and the first thing to do whenever applying chains is to just plan where it's going to go. So I'm thinking I'm going to tuck it in, start it about here I think, and I'm going to thread it under there and work it round and wrap it all around the length like so. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to pause the camera, I'm going to fiddle with this, get it into position. So that's what I would say, get the chain roughly in the position that you want it to be before you start applying the glue, just so we know that it's going to sit and that it's going to look exactly how you want it. So I'm going to do that now. There we are. So with a bit of fiddling, I've got the chain in roughly the right position here. Just hooked it into there, worked it round, wrapped it round, and then on the end here we're probably just gonna link that up, join up at the end there like so, and that should hold it nicely, I think. So once you've got it in position, then we can unhook it, apply a little bit of glue. So I'll show you that now. So I've got some super glue here. This one's coming towards the end of its life, and the cap is actually stuck inside the lid there, so the spout is stuck inside the cap rather. So I've got an old brush here which I use for super glue. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dip some in there, blob a bit on the palette here, and work with it from there, just being careful not to overload this. And then I'm going to work out where we're going to go on the model, aim for it, and then drop some glue in there. So a little blob there. It's quite a lot. But once we've done that, and then get that chain in there. Just like that, and then that should dry nicely. If you've got a bit of activator, that'll be good. I seem to make do without it. And then on the end, take a bit more. I'm just going to apply some glue there. Just around the end there. And then glue the chain up there. Too fiddly. There we go. Like that. It's just about where you think would look sensible. Sort of going for the effect that these chains are just sort of morphed into this scourge here. So that should glue nicely, and you could leave the rest of it like that. I might just apply a little bit in the middle there, just to give it something to sit on there. There we go. But that should do it. I shouldn't go anywhere. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll come back. There, so that's the super glue dry, and that's the chain in place. There we go, looking pretty good I think. And something that sometimes can happen with super glue, you might be able to see in this bit just here on the other arm, like some white residue from where the super glue has dried. And I've purposely left that like that so I can show you what I'm about to show you. So this is where the technical paints are going to come in handy. The Blood for the Bloodguard and Nurgle's Rot. So any of those white residue bits that you find with your super glue, you can cover them up with a bit of rot or a bit of blood, or oh yes, I was going to add some verdigris effects in there as well along the chain. So once the super glue is all nice and dry, go around your work, and if there are any of those white residue little build-ups from where the super glue has been, then just cover them up with some bit of technical paint of your choice. So we'll do that now, and then that's about it. There we have it then. So that's the technical paints applied, and I've slapped a little extra blood and stuff all around the place. Just give this whole weapon a real horrible, nasty, rotten, gory feel to it. And there we go, that is the finished result. Just some cheap chains off of eBay, a bit of TYPHUS corrosion, some RYZA rust, rotting them up with some technical paints of Blood for the Bloodguard and Nurgle's Rot, and a bit of Nihilakh oxide for some verdigris effects in there as well, and just applying it with some super glue. And that is how you do the chains, the rusty heavy chains for the Drowned Plague. There we have it then. So that was the little conversion tutorial video of mine to show you exactly how the various vehicles and characters of my Death Guard army got the heavy rusted chains. I hope you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, then a like and a comment would be very, very much appreciated. And if you'd like to see more of what goes on here inside the Frozen Fortress, then perhaps you'll also consider becoming a subscriber. Once again, whoever you are, thank you very, very much for joining me today. I'm Winter Wizard, that's Dimmu, and for now, keep it frosty.